I forgot to hit a button. I am Ol'Ed and and I'm joined with my Marvel Talk tag team partner, the wonderful Andre C, who's screwing on his positive face today.
No, I was doing my Hanan.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah, it's my Hanan.
I thought you were trying to get your positive face on there.
Alex,
that Ecto guy. It's
Alex,
time to talk Marvel.
Alex in the chat tonight. Hello, sir.
But there's no other way to start this episode than with us attempting to get in trouble again.
Let's get in trouble again.
For those that missed it, during our Avengers episode, we played a couple of clips that Marvel didn't like.
A couple. You played half the goddamn movie on the screen.
No. Marvel only had a problem with 5 of those clips. But the video's back up, and it's all fine. You can go ahead and watch it. We're going to play snippets of the theme song because we need to. There's just nothing better than those chords. And the fact that it's the same theme song and it's the same intro, we're going to now mute and just kind of
similar intro. They did like every episode.
There are I agree, but it's all in justice of the original. It's all in loving memory of the original. It's not redone or tweaked or changed from the original. This is the exact same style of the introduction that we would see in the original show.
Yeah, yes.
That music is iconic. Like there's nothing better in this world than that music.
Just harkens me back to the days of old when I was a young pup watching this on Fox Kids.
Yep. Every Saturday morning.
I remember it so well. And then the replays would be on other channels during the week. You know, when they after we're in the season like 4 and 5, the other channels would have it to replay, and it was just like, yes,
yeah. But the other wonderful thing about X-Men 97, and over the top of our heads, you can see the wonderfully redone artwork for these characters that with a couple of small changes to a couple of characters is almost identical. Miss Morph.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, and we'll get into the reasons for Morph when we talk about it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, all of these changes are minute changes. The entire art style is still the same. It's a 2000s 24 take on the 1997 art style. And for that, I give Marvel credit. They could have really gone in on this and made it Marvel animated, and they didn't.
No. It harkens back. You turn it on, you can literally watch the final. Yes, there's obviously an animation upgrade, but you watch the final episode of the original series, and then you go into the first episode of this series. Yeah, it was the music's slightly different because it's a new redone version. The animation is obviously 2024 animation, 2023, whenever it was made animation. But it gives you the same feeling. I watched this episode without watching any of the old stuff. I watched that first episode without watching any of the old stuff first, and it gave me chills hearing that music play and giving me that feeling that I was like, oh, I feel like a kid again, because it was just phenomenal. And I've had 4 phenomenal episodes, and a 5th that I just, part of it pissed me off, and part of it I just didn't care about. And
it's a hearty bowl of nostalgia O's. Yes, indeed it is.
100%. 100%.
Now that we've talked about, we're going to move us up a little bit so that we're not in the way of the comments section. I wanted to give an idea to show off the characters that were in there.
I love the Morph redesign for the fact that I like this version of Morph because it makes me think this is because he has the Voldemort face, and it really is the Voldemort face if you think about it. If you're a Potter fan, it's that blank face almost, but it works. It's like person can be anybody, and the fact that they have him emulating powers and all that shit, I'm like, he is the ultimate. Like, is he Omega level? Because if he can emulate other people's powers, wouldn't that mean he's Omega level? Because if he can just turn it on and be anybody's powers,
I think he can do some of their powers. I don't think he can access their full powers.
Yeah, like I don't think he can do the mind stuff that like Professor Gene could do. But like he turns into Cyclops, uses the blast. He turns into certain people, uses the powers. So yeah.
And also the redesign from Morph is also because, and people will hate on this, but the X-Men has always been and will always be a political TV show.
Yeah. Again, they were created as an allegory for racism, and really, you just apply whatever it is. Apply it nowadays. You can still apply racism to it. You can apply the LGBTQ to whatever I'm not showing the 2IA plus community to it, and
one of the reasons for that is because Morph in this series, we've been told that the updated Morph, the reason why Morph looks the way Morph does is because Morph is non-binary.
Which makes most sense out of everything, because if you look at him, or look at them, I guess if you look at them as a character, they're not man, they're not female, they're not anything. So again, I love it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And Morph will take on the form that he had in the first show at periods of time. Morph will interact into male characters. He will interact into female characters. Him portraying non-binary is a simple and easy explanation, especially since the character goes into male characters and goes into female characters so 100%. Seamlessly.
Man, he could turn it into a female and go live a life if he wants. He could turn into a male and go live a life. It doesn't matter. It's Morph.
We get into the first episode and we see the Friends of Humanity.
They're back.
They're back. The Friends of Humanity, and they have their Mega Man arms. Yes, they have their Mega Man arms.
Yeah, I was like, okay, they got Mega Blasters, but I'm not against it because I thought, all right, at least gives these human characters more than just firing guns now. It's, you know what I mean? It gives them something different, and I like that. It gives it a bit of a different flavor.
Now, for those that didn't watch the original series, the original episode was told, and almost the entire, for the most part, the entire first season is told through the lens of Jubilee. Well, they've updated this, and since Jubilee knows what's going on now, they need a new newbie. Welcome, Roberto DaCosta.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say this series is through the lens of.
No, I agree, but this first episode, just like the first episode of Night of the Sentinels, is told through the story of this new character who's being brought on as an X-Men. And for those that don't know, he will and is Sunspot.
Yeah, when he flared up as Sunspot, I was like, yes, let's go. I want him to do more.
Beauty. Hello. Poetic Beauty. Sorry, I couldn't get that name.
Chaotic Beauty. I was like, what the heck is Chaotic Beauty?
Sorry. But yeah, no, Roberto DaCosta is the person who we're going to be seeing it through, which I think is fun. I think it's an interesting way. And one of the first things that made me notice this show was going to be the same but different in all of this was the opening battles. Right here with the Friends of Humanity, we have Bishop and Storm.
Yep.
Just wrecking house.
And Storm's redesign with the mohawk, like absolute perfection. It's a nod to what's coming for the character and the look redesign of the storyline that she's going to have in this series that came out of the comics. So yeah. And her punk rock look and in Life Death series where that all came from. So yeah.
But we are gonna still play a couple of things. And look at Jack Cyclops. Look at him. Look how jacked this man is.
Mm-hmm.
But Marvel did such a great job. In 1997, they didn't have the ability to do a lot of the things they do. Watch how he uses his powers in this first battle, because it's absolutely fantastic.
Deals. Good guy or bad guy? Name's Cyclops. Definitely the good guy. Hang tight.
The
slide back.
Yes. Something that never got used in the original series.
Oh, and he levels it up later in the episode. That's for
he does indeed. Sure. But I love the idea that they're taking in the fact that these powers aren't just laser blasts, that they're concussive, so that he can use them. And through this battle, he will use it to go ahead and move around the field to push himself or other people around throughout this battle.
And he's using the blast to like move himself while also attacking other enemies at the same time. It works so well. Like you can see you can see the way they animate him when he wants to move. He's very much more like light-footed, but when he's going to just fire a beam, you can see his knees are bent. He's like ready. He's standing ready to hit it. So like again, there's those little nods that I love it.
Yeah. Noel Taken, if you're a Cyclops fan, you're probably happy. You're going to be happy for this episode. As a Cyclops fan, things get rough for our boy Cyclops in this show. Real fast.
I'm feeling him after the first 5. He's kind of emo Clops at this point, and we're getting the 2000s Cyclops where he kind of went bad guy-ish and was leading his like rebel team and everything. So, and then the Phoenix Force. So,
but also we have to remember that this is set in the 90s. And I heard this the first time and I forgot. And then I heard this.
What, you freak shows think we wouldn't find a way to evolve too? Take his visor before he starts up again.
No, don't! I surrender!
Not. I forgot. For a moment, I forgot this was the 90s. And just that knot is just like, oh my God, we're back. We're back to the 90s. Because he used to do that in the original series.
I gotta wonder how many kids that are watching this series now are gonna start going, nah. Never experienced that shit. Like I could just imagine.
But Roberto DaCosta comes back to the house, and we get Cyclops having an argument with Gambit and Rogue, and this is all. So for those that didn't watch the original, again, we're going to say this a lot, especially in this first episode. For those that didn't watch the original series, at the very end, the professor dies. According to the world, Professor X is dead. The X-Men know that he's gone to be with the Shi'ar Empire. But as far as the world is concerned, Professor X died due to the actions of, what was his name? The bad guy that we'll talk about in 2 minutes. Gyrick, that's the one. Henry Gyrick.
Yeah.
And there's this great scene in here where Cyclops is like, come on, guys, we needed you when you weren't there for us. And they're like, come on, you guys had this. You don't need us. And then Professor X comes walking through the door.
That's as soon as I saw him, I'm like, it's fucking Morph. Like, As soon as I saw him, like, it's fucking Morph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so good. It's so funny.
Because he only walks in the Savage Lands, people. He only walks in the Savage Lands.
Yeah. But no, this continues. And this first episode is an homage to Cyclops taking over. It's the back and forth about everybody trying to deal with the fact that the professor's gone. It's been a few weeks. It's been a few months, depending on who's talking. Jean Grey is pregnant.
So it's been a few months. I'd say it's probably been about 8-9 months at this point.
It would have to have been about 8 or 9 months. The show is very choppy on its timeline.
I think they said it's over a year or something since.
Is it?
I think so.
I missed that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at the thing on Wikipedia. It says 1 year after he left Earth. So yeah, it's been a year.
All right.
Yeah.
So, but we see this great thing where Scott's trying to figure out how to take over and try to be the leader, but he's always been the leader with somebody to give him the permission to be the leader, and now
he's always been the leader of the team, but never the person in charge.
Yeah. And nobody wants to listen to him. Nobody.
No. Especially Logan.
Logan never wants to listen to anything Scott has to say.
The man only listens to two people. That's Jean Grey and that's Charles Xavier. Because one, he's pussy whipped on one, and he respects Charles. So,
yeah. We then get, like I said earlier, we get Roberto da Costa waking up to Beast hanging from the ceiling doing science.
Oh my God! All I could think of was the end of the Marvels here, because she wakes up to Beast, and I'm like, oh my God! Like I feel like that was a nod to the movie in some way, but I don't know. Because this would have all been like animated long before like a year ago. It would have been like designed for animation. So I don't know.
Remember, the animation design probably takes a whole lot less time than the post-production on a movie. So they very well could have seen that and kind of filtered it in. But admit, that's also the exact same way that Jubilee woke up in the first season as well.
True.
She woke up to Beast.
Which that Marvels episode, the end of the Marvels, is a tribute to Jubilee in that sense. So yeah, makes sense. Makes more sense that way.
We then get a fantastic scene where she starts showing Da Costa around the rooms in the mansion. He's taken into the danger room. And he makes fun of video games.
Yeah.
He says the video games are dumb.
Which is surprising with Jubilee.
Yeah.
Especially.
But then we get one of my favorite parts of the first episode. Look at him. He gets down and Wolverine just puts his claws between his face. Oh, scary. Can we stop now? Computer, end program. And look on his face when he realizes it's real.
When he realizes it's actually Logan, he's like, oh my God, I'm going to die. So good.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like, this is amazing that this is still in the same animation style as something from the 90s. Like, this looks really good. But of course, like every show, the kid runs away because the kid doesn't know any better. He's a rich kid. He's a snobby kid. He didn't want anything to do with it. So he goes ahead and runs away. So the X-Men have to go find him. They go to a nightclub. Morph pretends to be Jean Grey, which was really, really weird because he's talking to Logan and he's pretending to be Jean Grey, and he's like, "I'm so happy. I'm with the greatest man, and I'm having the greatest baby, and this, that, and the other thing." And I swear Wolverine was going to kill Morph.
Yeah, it was great. Just the way he antagonized him so well, it was great.
Yeah.
Oh, so good, so good.
No. But we get some fun things here with interactions with different groups of characters, because there are 6 characters involved in this. There's Jubilee and Roberto da Costa. There's Wolverine and Morph, and then of course there's Gambit and Rogue, because there's always Gambit and Rogue.
Yeah, sure. It's always Gambit and Rogue. It can never not be Gambit.
It can never not be Gambit and Rogue. That's wink, wink. It'll never not be Gambit and Rogue.
Yeah.
But no, this is again a fun scene where, you know, Rogue continues to talk about how she hates the fact that she can't live a real life, that she can't be human and be normal because of the fact that she can't touch people. She's like, I'd love to go up and dance with these guys, but the moment I touch them, they'd all, you know, fall to the ground and essentially die if she doesn't stop touching them because of the way her powers work. And it's
I think she needs that machine from X-Men Evolution that evolves Scott and his brother to the full end of their powers. That's the machine she needs right now, so she can touch people.
Yes, but we're not going to deal with that. We find Roberto da Costa in the middle of the dance floor with his glow sticks, because it is the 90s and people dance with glow sticks at a rave type dance party.
People still do.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I don't go to these kinds of parties.
I haven't been to a rave. I haven't been to a rave or a party like that in a long time. But last time I was at one, people still did. I was in my 20s.
But this is a nice moment where Jubilee gets to let loose and have a bit of fun, because she's still a child. Like, let's not mistake this. We'll find out later. She's about to turn 18. But she's still underage at this point. She's still 17 at this point in the show. But she starts using her powers because it's a rave and people like fireworks and all kinds of little things like that. So her powers fit in perfectly fine with this group of people. But, of course, the fun comes to an end. Wolverine's like, I've had enough of this bullshit. We're going home now. Grumpy dad taking everybody home. Where the Clumcos on drugs or drunk because they just let Jubilee do her thing and kept dancing. I think it's because of the fact that I don't think that they noticed that it's a mutant power, because it's just fireworks and lights and just fun stuff.
I just assume everybody was high on something.
I mean, it is a rave. I'm sure they were all high on something. Meanwhile, all this is going on. Scott goes to go ahead and try to, you know, reason with Henry Gyrick with Storm.
Dude, okay, before we go any further, the animation on here is obviously different from the original show. But he looks like Norman Osborn from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. It is so weird that he looks like Osborn now.
We'll play a bit right there.
Yeah, he looks like Norman Osborn. It's very weird to me. Yeah.
But
with the hair the way it is and like the widow's peak of it all, yeah. It gives me Norman Osborn vibes.
But they try to get information from him, and he's like, yeah, I'm not telling you people squat. I don't give a shit. It is what it is. And then Jean gets into his mind. She uses Cerebro to access his mind to find the information that they need. Because they're looking for, what's it called? Master Mold.
Yeah.
Because they have to find out where the Master Mold is, because obviously the Sentinels are still being made. And by the way, well done on Disney to go ahead and make the Sentinels all one size, because the original show had a very hard time with determining how tall Sentinels were.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, we get the scene in the airplane where Logan can still doesn't want to be part of the team.
When Jean's using her powers, she kind of gets hit with something though. It's when she's getting a block. She's holding her baby, and it's just all these swirling mass. A swirling mass of sandstorm comes at her, and it's really kind of cool here what they do here, and like nobody knows what the hell is going on, and it's giving you again it's foreshadowing for future episodes that we have seen, and again it's really kind of cool what they do here. I don't know, I quite like that.
I love it. It's all fantastic. It's great. But they go on the mission. They find out where they need to go, and as Andre was saying, he does Scott does go ahead and use his powers in an incredibly unique way, and this is how. We're just gonna let it play a little bit. We're gonna keep talking.
He just do it. He's going like Captain America dive bombing, and then boom, concussive blast to bring him, and he just the perfect landing. And again, that to me, that looks like again the X-Men Evolution episode with him and his brother were fully powered. That's how they land it. They fall from the sky and land, both using their concussive blast to land. I loved it. I was like, ah. And then he says, "To me, my X-Men," and I'm just like, oh. It's not. Oh, here it is.
To me, my X-Men.
Ah. So good. So good. I loved it. And it's not the same voice as the original series.
Some of them are, some of them aren't. There's a few holdovers.
Because Cyclops is replaced because Norm Spencer passed away in 2020.
Hello, Mr. Bobby Munson. Thank you for joining us.
Bobby! Yeah.
Not to get in as much trouble this time with Marvel.
Yeah, we're trying. We're trying.
We're going to fail, but we're trying.
Yeah, Jean's been replaced. Morph's been replaced, the voice actor. Jubilee has been replaced, but that's because the actress said because Jubilee is an Asian American character and she is white, she said she'd rather have an Asian American voice actress do it, which they went with.
Yeah. But she does come back to voice older Jubilee in the 4th episode. The voice of the older Jubilee character is the original Jubilee voice.
And I very much like that, just to have that little
it's a guest star. It's fine. Like I love the idea that she was like, look, I understand. Rogue is, I believe, the original. I believe Rogue and Wolverine, I believe, the 2 originals.
So Storm is original, Logan's original, Rogue's original, Beast is original, Gambit's a replacement. Pretty much everybody else is replacements. Magneto's is replacement, but that's because his voice actor, he passed away too. But yeah, there's a few holdovers, but a lot of them are replacements. So
yeah.
And so again, a lot of those voice actors are 30 years older now, so their voices, a lot of them don't handle the same way they used to. So
yeah, even the Logan Wolverine character it's tough. Like it's not exactly the same. It's a bit changed.
Yeah, Carl Dodd did a great job, but
he does.
You can tell his voice has very much changed.
Which again is fine. In 30 years, things like that happen, and it's close enough to the original. It's in the original style. It feels original. It feels cool. It's fine.
I love how many of the voice actors are actually Canadian on this show. It's a crazy amount.
I mean, no surprise. Canadians have good voices.
Yeah, we're
very,
very good.
That's why most of the people here are Canadian on our local establishment.
Yeah, we then get every show. There's a Canadian on almost every show.
There is a Canadian on almost every show, except for my show, Taking Over, where it's me and Ash.
And Honor Ramble.
That's true. 2 Americans on Honor Ramble.
But I guessed on there. I've guessed on there a couple times. We bring the Canadian flavor every now and again.
We try. We try to let the Canadian. Oh, coolest thing from the opening episode. Gambit lighting up Wolverine's claws.
Ah, that was so cool because it makes sense if they explode. Even if they broke, he'd regenerate them, so it makes sense. It makes sense to me. I loved it. I thought that was dope as fuck.
The adamantium can't explode. It can't break. It's
Well, there you go. The adamantium explodes, but it doesn't do anything to the adamantium. That was totally badass. It was badass, yo. It was badass.
Yeah. We go ahead and we get the fight scene. It's a very short fight scene where they go ahead and take down Master Mold and all the different Sentinels. And life goes back, and Roberto DaCosta's back with the family. Well, he's back with the X-Men family. And he's saying goodbye to Jubilee, and I was going to show it to you, but unfortunately, my Disney Plus is not cooperating with me. But he goes ahead and lights up his arm, and we get the acknowledgement that he gets solar powers. So they haven't said it's Sunspot, but we all know it's Sunspot because also it's Roberto DaCosta, who is Sunspot.
And for one, it's the flare up of the arm. I didn't remember the name, honestly, of Roberto DaCosta. I'll admit, when I saw the arm flare up, I'm like, oh, he's Sunspot. Yeah.
But of course, that isn't the ending to the episode because, of course, the episode ends with there's an intruder in the mansion. And they go ahead and they look over, and they all run over to Professor X's office because that's where the intruder is. And there stands Magneto with the last will and testament, of Charles Xavier. By the way, that is the thickest fucking book I've ever seen. How much did Charles Xavier own if he has that? Like, it's a large book that he's reading. Like, look at this. I finally got it to work.
Well, there's also directives on what needs to be done and things like that. So again, there's a lot to a will of his side, especially with the amount of money he has. And yeah, there's probably memories, as Bobby's saying, probably some memories and stuff. There's instructions on what to do. Probably the instructions for certain people to do certain things, right? And they love playing basketball in this episode for some reason, but
they did love playing basketball in this episode. But we then get the same title name again in a slightly different way.
Will and testament of Charles Francis Xavier. As you all will see, his fortune, his school, everything he built, everything he fought for, now belongs to me, my X-Men.
And he says, belongs to me, my X-Men. And it's the same line as Cyclops, but just done in such a different way. And it's just like, yeah. It's
the memoirs of Charles Xavier, yes.
Very true.
But that was a great way to open it. Nothing really exciting happens, but we get the full idea of what this show is going to be. It shows us a little bit of action. It shows us a little bit of intrigue. It gives us some insight into the storylines. It's a great opening episode.
It's like how do you work with your bad guy? And there's all these questions they were asking here.
We then get to the Mutant Liberation Begins, episode 2. And the rest of these are going to go a little bit quicker. We're going to spend some time talking about more general points. We're not going to show as much footage. We're not going to try to find as much footage.
Hey, let's not have to edit this episode completely.
Well, there's no fun in not editing the episode completely. YouTube does it all for me. So in episode 2, Magneto has decided he's fighting with everybody. Everybody wants to not believe him that this is what they have to do. Mm-hmm. But one person on the team is more open to working with Magneto than anybody else. Andre, do you want to talk about that relationship?
Yeah, Rogue. Again, if anybody knows the Age of Apocalypse storyline, her and Magneto did were together, had a child. There's history from her in the South. There's story from in the Savage Lands together, and they had a relationship there. And then his power set as electromagnetism can cancel. Use it essentially to protect himself from her ability to pull his weight. The electricity in him, electromagnetism, can stop her life drain. So she is the one person in the world that she can touch and actually feel, and like, and we'll get more into it in episode 5, but feel somebody's heartbeat, feel somebody's, like, actually feel their touch properly, the warmth of who they are. Yeah. Feel them.
It's fantastic. And of course, Cyclops is not handling this well at all.
No.
He's very angry. He thought he was the leader. He's now no longer is he the leader of the team. He's no longer the leader of the whole X-Men. Oh, none of it. He leads nothing. You have nothing like it.
He didn't just lose leading the team as a whole. He lost being the squad leader because Magneto pretty much benches him, or like puts him like on the back. Like, you're listening. I'm gonna run this in the field, motherfucker.
Yeah. And again, there's some great stuff in here where the UN, after Magneto goes out and helps save the Morlocks, he sends the Morlocks to Genosha. Because Genosha's been redesigned and revamped now. It's no longer a slave island. It's now a wonderful haven for mutants, as opposed to the slave island that it was in portions of the original show. And he says, "I used Charles'
Yeah.
He talks about using Charles' excessive wealth to go ahead and relocate the Morlocks to Genosha. He's like, I'm surprised Charles never did this."
Well, again, was Genosha ready for them, though? That's the question. Like,
Agreed.
was Genosha? Yeah. And again, in the original series, at one point, he raised the Earth of Genosha and brought everybody from Genosha to Asteroid M to live with him on Asteroid M. So there's also that too.
And he did that in the original series too. Let's not forget they had Asteroid M in the original series.
That's what I'm saying. He took everybody from Genosha and brought them to Asteroid M in the original series.
Yeah, and then unfortunately the humans decided to shoot it out of the sky, and they all had to come back down.
Hey,
no, you're not too late.
You only missed us talking about episode 1. We're on episode 2, sir. Hello, Andreas.
Hello, Andreas. Thank you for joining us for the Avengers episode. I greatly appreciate it. The UN comes for Magneto, though, because Magneto's a terrorist. So for good reason, the UN decides to come for him. And they specifically say that they come for him with plastic weapons so that he can't touch their bullets. The problem is they came in helicopters.
What movie was that in? One of the X-Men movies, they all showed up with plastic. One of the X-Men movies, they have him. They all have. Oh, and he's in the jail because everything's plastic, and they have everything plastic.
It's X2. It's X2.
X2. I love that. I was like, I love the fact that they came with these plastic weapons. I was like, yeah, let's do it.
But they forgot that their helicopters are made of metal, and he goes ahead and turns them on their side and keeps bringing them closer and closer to destroying the UN. But he stops. And he's like, look, are you going to arrest me? Do we want to talk? If I can have a trial, I'll go with you willingly.
Iron in the lungs, too. That's from
Iron in the lungs, yep.
Yes. Yep.
Fantastic work. The X-Men movies, they have their faults, and most of those involve Bryan Singer. But other than that, some of those first 2 movies are really good. Days of Future Past is really, really good. First Class is really, really good. I love Days of Future Past. I think it is almost a perfect movie.
It's good. It's not bad. It's not good, but it's good. It's good. It's good.
I think First Class and Days of Future Past are the 2 best X-Men movies that exist.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
Well, that's fine. We don't have to. They may have their faults, but at least it's not the garbage that the X-Men is. It's X-Men Dark Phoenix.
That's very true. Or
Apocalypse. The third one I don't like either. I'll be honest.
And New Mutants, well, interesting, wasn't good. It wasn't good.
No, it wasn't good.
No.
It was.
Or X3. Bad. Bobby is right. Or X3.
Oh, X3 is at the bottom of that list. X3 is at the bottom of that list with Wolverine Origins.
I love that movie, but not in the. I do not say it's good. I love how cheesy and stupid that movie is. That's my love for that movie, because I love watching King Ryan Reynolds in that for the little point, and then him just like beaking at him at the end at Ryan Reynolds because his mouth's all sewn up at the end. So yeah.
And also, Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool, heard and saw the movie and went to them and goes, look, you still have time to fix this garbage that is Deadpool. You can still fix this. Humanoid says, Apocalypse wasn't that bad. Don't hurt me. It wasn't great. It's okay. It's okay at best. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good.
I'll admit, I agree.
Awesome. The bridge scene is the most expensive scene in like movie history to a certain point.
Yeah, I love X-Men 3. It just I don't know. I really enjoy that movie. I don't know. I really do.
Polaris Cost and Days of Future Past are up there with the first two X-Men. Those four movies are very strong. They are definitely the four best.
For me, it's X-Men 2, X-Men 1, First Class, and then I'll put. I don't know what to put there. I'll probably go Days of Future Past because I put Logan actually at the bottom out of any movie outside of Dark Phoenix because I don't like Logan.
I still haven't seen it. I have to see it before I watch Deadpool and Wolverine. And he's right. X3 is okay because I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Vinnie Jones was not a happy camper. Did you know they offered him to come back for Deadpool 3 and he said no?
Why not?
Yeah, he didn't want to.
Sure.
He did. He had a bad experience doing Deadpool 3, doing X-Men 3, and decided not to come back. But there was an offer made. Anyways, back to
the Japanese movie.
That was Origins, wasn't it?
No, Origins was the one where it was started.
That's Deadpool. Okay, so this is just Wolverine, right? The Wolverine,
yeah,
I think it's called.
The Wolverine. It was the Wolverine. Then there was Logan.
Yeah, because that's the one that has he goes to Japan and all that kind of that's the Wolverine.
That's the only I've never seen that movie. I've never seen that movie.
It's not bad. It's not great. It's not good. It's okay. But anyways, back to Magneto's liberation. So he gets put on trial. Mm-hmm. And this is fantastic. I adore the trial of Magneto.
Because and I love that he's also in his big giant M costume. Yeah.
Yeah. The Natural has joined us. Hello, Astrid. Astrid was on the bump today. For those that didn't know, the bump asked for everybody to send in their pictures of them reacting to things from WrestleMania. And Astrid sent in the picture of her crying after Damian Priest cashed in. And so when Damian Priest was there today, Ryan Papella went ahead and used it as the first piece of footage to show Mr. Damian Priest, the new World Heavyweight Champion, Damian Priest.
Our girl is famous. Our girl is famous.
Congrats, Astrid, says Noel Taken. And Ashton says, I haven't watched anything. Don't come at me. But she did want to support us. We greatly appreciate it.
You can just put us on mute if you want.
Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that happens here, but nothing more important than the trial of Magneto. And the trial of Magneto allows them to retcon a couple of problematic things that the 90s cartoon wasn't allowed to do. Things the 90s cartoon wasn't allowed to do, talk about religion.
Yeah.
It's a problem trying to explain the backstory of Magneto and not talk about religion.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the fact that it's all about the Holocaust, and being Jewish is one of the key portions to the Magneto story. And this is the costume that we're talking about, him with a power dampening collar, with a massive M. And by the way, if any of you saw night one of WrestleMania, Michael Cole's suit, he had it done in a way where the M in the Magneto looks like his suit, because it was like a light purple edging to the suit for the little flaps and stuff that makes up the edge of the suit. And I thought that was fantastic that he was repping. So Magneto got some rep out there for WrestleMania coverage, so that's always nice. I don't believe you released the CCTV footage. We're not going to get into that. I've already gotten into one argument today with a good friend about the CCTV footage. We're not going to do it. Astrid says it's surreal that Damian Priest at least saw how happy she was that he won. It's fantastic. Mr. Damian Priest. But no, Magneto goes ahead and has this incredible monologue talking about the pain of what's happened to him and his people and how he sees it all happening again with the way people are treating the mutants.
Mm.
And he says, I said then and I say again, never again. Mm. And he's just so powerful. Like, listen to just, we're going to play bits of this.
Must protect itself. Protection? That is extermination. I have only ever acted to avenge crimes against my people, as you act to avenge those against yours today.
Like, there's just so much great power coming from Wolverine. Coming from Magneto here, not Wolverine. There's never any great power coming from Wolverine. Humanoid says, I don't know who said this, but it's hilarious that Damon Priest is called the bisexual Undertaker. That would be Rhea Ripley. We can blame Rhea Ripley for that. Yes. She also says a couple other things that, as an American, I refuse to say because there are words in there that, as an American, are considered wrong for me. Not wrong for her. As an Australian, those words are allowed. The UK, they're allowed. In the United States, we don't say that. Astrid's right. She also calls him Bondage Taker. He's an interesting cat. But we're not talking about Damian Priest for once.
How about just call him Damian Priest and not compare him to other people?
We could just call him Damian Priest. I mean, like, we could. Maybe that might be the one. Anyways, moving on. But the trial is broken up with because the Friends of Humanity come to try to overrun the trial. And one guy in particular, a sharpshooter, comes in and there's a fight that breaks out. But at the same time as this fight is breaking out, Jean starts giving birth. Her water breaks. And she tells Wolverine, he's coming. He's coming. And Wolverine jumps up and goes, "Who? Apocalypse." Oh,
that was genius. That was genius.
Oh,
She's like,
so
no,
good.
the baby.
So Scott finds out that Jean's pregnant and at the hospital, so he sends Rogue to go over there. And Magneto gets the chains off of him so that he can help protect people, and it's him and Storm taking on the Friends of Humanity all by themselves. But unfortunately, one of the Friends of Humanity has this special sniper rifle with a special bullet. Mm. And Storm jumps in front of Magneto. She takes the bullet from Magneto. But unfortunately, it takes her powers away.
Yeah, Executioner.
The Executioner, yes.
Yeah.
And then there's just, it's a little bit heartbreaking, but we're going to go ahead and play it. And we're going to not get it. I promise, we're not going to get in any trouble. It's fine.
I'm getting loads of trouble.
The breeze is gone. I cannot feel it, nor the moisture.
The pain, like the vocal people is just the work of these people is just so fantastic.
It's heart-wrenching, man. Like you just how the actress just pull that voice and just the heartbreak you feel in the voice. You're like, oh my god, and it's just like, oh.
Yeah. Dude. Storm is a real teammate here. Yes, I agree, Noel. No, Storm is a real master teammate here. Even though Magneto tried to kill them multiple times, she still is willing to take a bullet for him because he's defending them. In this case, he's not wrong. They're coming after him, and she defends the good. And right now, Magneto's the good. I love that ability. There was more emotion in that scene than in all of Phase 4.
I'll argue Shang-Chi, but that's it.
Yeah, I love Shang-Chi. I think Shang-Chi's great. There's a lot of Miss Marvel, the TV show, is pretty good too. There's a lot of good
and Hawkeye.
Yeah. No Way Home.
Yeah,
Was
lots
that
of good-
phase?
Yeah, and No Way Home and Far From Home both. Like, what are you talking about, Bobby? Both those are in phase 4, you jerk.
Shang-Chi was great, just no real true emotion. No, there's some true emotion in there. Though good movies, don't get me wrong. We'll get to all that when we get back to our MC rebound coming up in the next couple of weeks. Magneto decides that he's had enough, and he takes all of the humans all the way up into the atmosphere above the earth. And he's standing over this man, and he's like, I could crush you if I wanted to. And he talks about how Xavier, he's doing well and he's doing good things because of Xavier, because Xavier made him promise to be a better man. And he says, I need to see this view of humanity, this view of the earth. And he's looking down and he's seeing the entire earth as one big solid object. Magneto's so good.
Mm-hmm.
In everything. Magneto's always been. I love Professor X, don't get me wrong. Magneto's always better. Magneto's always cooler. Magneto always has better lines. Magneto has always had the better character arcs.
Mm-hmm.
Because Professor X is the same character throughout everything. There's very little change in Professor X. But
like Matt Watterson, who took over the voice, like he does such a good job emulating David Hemblin. I can never say that name. He does such a great emulating the voice while making it his own at the same time and giving you like that pure emotion of it. It's so good. Yep. So good. Yep. I agree. I agree with you, Bobby.
Yeah. We then have Jean gives birth to the baby, and we get Nathan Charles Summers.
Cable.
Yeah,
Cable.
Yeah. The moment they named the baby Nathan, we all knew that it was Cable.
Mm-hmm.
But this new series of X-Men, they've decided that cliffhangers are the way to go. Every episode has to have a cliffhanger. And this week's cliffhanger was Storm leaves the team. She can't do it without her powers that they're permanently gone. She can't stick with the team. So she leaves. And Morph says she'll be back. Don't worry. She'll just take some time and she'll be back. The door. There's a knock on the door. Morph's all excited because Storm's come back. And at the door is Jean Grey asking for the X-Men help.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Jean Grey is being held by Cyclops and holding the baby. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I knew where this was going. Again, I know the characters. Madeline Pryor will come to exist here. And we get into episode 3. I guess it's good.
Oh boy.
Like I love this episode, but I also have problems with this episode. Is the fact that they did what could have been an entire season story arc in one goddamn episode. You shortchange Goblin Queen like a father, you know? Like
However, I will while I will agree that they rushed it. They did rush it. They did a fantastic job.
Oh, yeah.
With the story that they told.
Oh, I'm not saying, and again, the story they told was wonderful, but this whole story arc could have been this first season of X-Men 97, because there's been rumors and talked about that we're getting at least 2 more seasons of this. So, like, this could have been this season, but again, I understand why it's not. They're trying again when this season was first picked up. Did they know they were getting 3 seasons? That's the other question.
Yeah,
right?
I wholly think that when they did this first season, they weren't sure there was ever going to be any more, so they went hell to leather. They
have life death. They now have Goblin Queen / Madeline Pryor's storyline. don't even know what they've got left in the season.
There's a
there's
story. There's a third massive comic book story.
Yeah, I think it's the final 3 episodes, and they're going to finish Life Death, or the first Life Death in episode 4. Then there's Life Death, I think in 6 or 7. I think they're doing another.
It'll be episode 6.
Doing another Life Death. So again, it's like they're hitting a lot of marks, but I understand because they didn't know when they. But again, after they saw everything, it's like once they saw it produced, they're like, yeah, 2 more seasons, let's go. And now they got to. But again, they have 30, 40 years, or they have like 40 to 50 to 60 to 70 years of X-Men comics now.
Yeah,
they have X-Men.
There's plenty to pull from. Like, they can still redo Days of Future Past, even though they did it in the first one. They can redo Days of Future Past if they need to. There are so many alternate things that
Phoenix
they can
Force.
do.
I want Phoenix Force.
They could change. And remember, these extra seasons, if this gets tied into the MCU at any point, could go to alternate realities.
That's
so these shows don't even need to be in the same reality as season 1. Season 2 could be a completely different reality. A good Phoenix Force. There's yet to be a good Phoenix Force, but maybe someday we'll get it.
Or sorry, Phoenix 5. I'm sorry, I think it's Phoenix 5. When the Phoenix goes into Cyclops, Magic, and like 3 others, and again they're a team
Mr.
of
Sinister.
Phoenix.
Sinister.
No. That wasn't Phoenix 5 though. But there is Mr. Sinister getting the Phoenix Force. There's lots of stuff.
I was gonna say. I was gonna say. I know as a Marvel Snap player, they had a Phoenix season, and I know one of the things that was a reward was the Colossus is one of them.
Yeah,
the Phoenix 5. We do have Morph playing into fun characters. This is, what was her name? I don't even remember her name. Andre, can you?
I don't remember her name.
Okay. But I know that she's part of the Mojo stuff. So this was an interesting little tied to something we're going to get ahead.
Yeah.
But the Phoenix 5 are?
Yeah. Cyclops, Emma Frost, Namor, Colossus, and Magic.
There we go. Yeah. So in the beginning of episode 3, Fire Made Flesh, we get Beast telling us that he's done. Oh, it is Spiral. Thank you, Noel Taken. I really appreciate it. It is Spiral. Who the person who Morph was portraying in that. Beast goes ahead and talks about how he carbon dated the DNA samples from both Jean Greys and found out that the Jean Grey that stumbled into the house is the oldest of the two Jean Greys. So she's the real Jean Grey, and the other is an imposter.
You can tell them apart. Ponytail, no ponytail.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
The fun thing is, after this episode, every episode since then, Jean has her hair down. I'm sorry, hair up in the ponytail. Yeah.
Well, again, if you look at, and they change it in the credits too in episode 4 and 5, it's Jean with the ponytail. That's what I was just talking about. Yep. With the hair down, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. That they change it in the intros. That Hank and his sciencing. Yes, Hank and his sciencing is very interesting. But I love the way the team turns on Madeline Pryor. This woman's been with them for they don't know how long. And instantly, everybody's like, oh, well, we can't trust you. Some good people you were. Like, really? Like,
that's some dickhole moves right there. It's like, well, just let's talk about it. Let's sit down and figure out, well, who are you? Let's have a conversation. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Like, it's really fucked.
Cyclops doesn't even want to let her take the baby. Like, have anything to do with the baby because of the fact that she's not who we think she is.
Well, she's obviously the mother. She just gave birth to the baby. So she is that baby's mother. So she has all rights to that baby.
Absolutely. But Cyclops can't trust her because she's not Jean Grey. They followed Scott's lead. We're going to quickly find out in this episode and beyond, we don't trust Scott anymore.
Yeah. I'm I think we're getting Scott descending into madness. I think is what we're
I
getting
hope
to
so.
get here.
I
Yeah.
hope so. But of course, we have. I do love the way Beast figures out the way he delivers the news to the team of who's behind all of this, and it's just fantastic.
Time isn't some history book, man. It's always writing, flipping back a few pages, rewriting things, skipping forward, headed into...
Oh, my stars and garters. Scott, you have to...
And by the way, oh my stars and garters, it sounds stupid, but it is the original comic book phrase of the character Beast.
Get Nathan.
Hank, what's wrong?
Scientists, like artists, have signatures to their work. I know who cloned Gene. A man so dark and twisted he can be described as nothing other than sinister.
Dun dun dun!
Sorry,
it's so campy and I love it.
Campy and stupid, but I loved it.
It's so great. Oh, it's so great. And then Madeline being talked to through the baby monitor.
And again, she's still she's still Jean Grey. She's not even Madeline yet. But and then Sinister starts talking to her, and it's just so good.
Call me father. Oh, such a line. And I love the way that they portray Sinister here. Like, he's not here. In no point is he ever in this building.
No,
but he's in her mind.
He has a connection to her because of the crystal he put in her head. Yeah.
And but like they'll pop him into the scene like he's there, even though he's just talking to her.
It's the same way Charles would manifest to some people when speaking to them through their mind, but he wasn't actually with them. Same with Jean would do the same thing, and they
And here he promises that he will take care of her son, and he activates her power, his connection to her power. And lo and behold, we get one
of the Sailor Moon transformation.
All right, let's go ahead and do the transformation. Hold on.
It's literally a Sailor Moon transformation. I'm sorry, that's what it is.
It really is.
Yeah. It's what it is.
We'll just talk over it a little bit here.
Yeah, we'll not have any audio play, but
the Marvel Girl costume
is gone.
All the different comic book pictures, and here it comes. Mommy's busy. The line is so cheap.
Too dirty. That sounds way dirtier than it should, though.
It really does. She's talking to an infant, but yes.
Yeah.
And here we get.
Yeah, full Sailor Moon transformation into the Goblin Queen.
And by the way, you might look and go, "Oh wow, that's really like a bit excessive for a kids' cartoon series." That's tame considering to what she wore in the comics. They tamed her down in the show, and she's sexy in the show, let alone what she looked like on the comic book covers. We then get to see a horror movie play out in this episode as everybody gets their worst fears. My favorite one is Gambit, who has little trust for Rogue and Magneto. One of the things we didn't mention is that he saw Rogue leaving Magneto's quarters during episode 2.
Yeah, at the end of episode 2 when she was in his quarters, yeah. They can touch. Because it does show him touch her. Not in a creepy way. They touch hands. Nothing crazy.
They touch hands. Magneto is a very gentlemanly character in all of this when it comes to Rogue. But it's great. They're leaving the danger room and they're looking to see who's at the danger room next. And Rogue and Magneto in this horror movie fiction of Gambit's mind have the danger room for almost the next 24 hours. And then Morph says, "Wow, Rogue's really working on her stamina with the new boss." Woo!
I feel really bad for Gambit here getting cucked out here, because they're banging in there. They're banging in there.
And the X-Men, don't want to shy away from showing us, and we see later on in this episode, the creepy flesh of Rogue
Yeah,
and Magneto
that was
merging.
weird.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Morph is a troll. Morph is a delightful troll.
Yep.
He sees in Morph's fantasies, he sees Wolverine in the shower, but it's really Mr. Sinister playing on his mind.
So I like this. Is the point is like you're putting him in a point again. He's not a non-binary character. They are I gotta stop saying he. They are a non-binary character, and again, he obviously has this again, and it was hinted at in episode 1 where he was playing like he was pretending to be Jean. He's into Wolverine. Simple as that. But they are into Wolverine.
Yeah. Bishop sees I believe it's his sister from the future, and she says, "Why aren't you coming back home?" Roberto DaCosta sees his mother in this creepy crawly thing that came out of the TV from him and Jubilee having a date night watching a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Beast just sees this creepy little thing and he goes, "I think one of us has the wrong floor." Inevitably, they all end up going to hell to fight demons inside the mansion. And we see, again, the greatness of them understanding how team powers work.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's a teamwork. It's teamwork, right? Like, there's the concussive blast, and like Cyclops charging Bishop up, and again, it's those like great abilities here that they like, and that you would never. I'm sorry, we never would have got this in the original series, but the fact that you've also had 30 or close to 30 years in between, and giving this ability, I love it. I love it. But again, they make her powers stronger in here. Again, the 90s, her powers were literally just sparkle power. Where here, at least they're being used as explosions, and it's hurting people and things like that when she's using it. So they do use her powers in a much better way here.
Yeah, and of course,
who doesn't? Me? Who am I? Say my name, Scott. No? Allow me. I am beyond Jean Grey, beyond the X-Men. I am scorn and fury, forged in righteous brimstone. I am the Goblin Queen.
Oh, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the writing on this show is fantastic. Like,
that should
that
should have been the end of the episode in reality, but
I agree.
X-Men.
I would have loved the episode to end here, but it doesn't.
No.
We get her taking the baby to Sinister. Sinister dunks the baby into the mysterious green goo that's for some reason doesn't kill the baby. The baby doesn't drown in the green goo.
Yeah, well, it's
reasons.
It's like Luke in the back. It's like a back to tank. It's Luke in the back to tank.
It's the back to tank.
It's the X-Men's version of a back to tank. You don't die. There's air in there somehow. I don't understand, but there's air in there. But again, he was wearing a mask in the back to tank. But still, it's a back to tank. It's not going to kill you. It's going to heal you.
Noel Taken says they fight in tandem more than other teams. They do. They do. And this series really shows that off. In the comics, they do. In the comics, the X-Men work together really well in comparison to a lot of... because you got to remember, the Avengers only really come together every so often. They tell more of their own stories. The X-Men, for a long time, were really the only team built. And then you have the X-Men, and you have X-Force, and X-Factor. Not that X-Factor, the other X-Factor. Not the Sean Waltman, PJ Polacco, fuck a dick.
Because you're dealing with the X-Factor.
PJ Polacco can go suck a dick, that fucking douchebag. But yeah, no.
Uncle Cracker is the theme.
That theme song is banging, though. I love.
I love it. I love that song. I love Uncle Cracker.
Yeah, like time and a place. Uncle Cracker being on the theme there, but it works and it was great.
Again, so Sinister's got the baby. and then they gotta go hunt down Sinister. And yeah, we get a pretty decent finish to the episode. Don't get me wrong; it's rushed, but it's good because again, she realizes that he's trying to destroy her child or poison her child essentially with the I can't remember what the fuck it is.
Organic technovirus.
That's it. Organic technovirus. My brain doesn't work well anymore.
Humanoid's right. Great song, bad stable. I agree. I'm just going to be going 10 seconds at a time, so it's just still images, but we see these great still images of a psychic battle between the Goblin Queen and Jean Grey.
Mm.
Jean Grey still at the mansion, and again, to try not to get in trouble, we're just using still images. Hopefully that will keep us out of trouble. But she realizes that Sinister is the one, the bad one here, and she breaks open the case to allow Nathan to get out.
And he starts freaking. He's not happy. He is very not happy about that.
He is very much not happy. But then he disappears like into the abyss, like he just sort of Homer Simpsons his way out of that room, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like he just walks into the darkness and then disappears.
And then they're just like, "Okay, we're cool with you now. We're cool with you." And she names herself Madeline Pryor. Like no reason. Like, but they just name her Madeline. She names herself Madeline Pryor. No reasoning and bringing up the name. Nothing. Just I'm Madeline Pryor now. Like, oh, and then they find out the baby has the organic technovirus.
Yeah, this is the techno-organic virus on the baby. And they bring him to the future. Madeline goes ahead and gives him, memories of her and Scott to hold on to because Scott can't do it. How do you feel about Scott with his past of having been given away by his parents from the original series, where they bring up the fact that he was kind of orphaned by his parents and his total denial to the point where he just walks away and leaves himself out of this decision?
Well, he knows it's Madeline's choice in the end. He's not going to force her to do anything. And again, it all comes down to like, he's like, it's breaking his heart because he knows the feeling of it. No, I'm thinking he has PTSD. He has abandonment PTSD, and he can't be the one to make the final decision about they're not abandoning their child. It's like they're giving him the opportunity to live his life by sending him to the future with Bishop.
But in his mind, that's the same abandonment that his father gave to him
when
they sent him away from the galaxy where they were a part of.
100%. Well, that's if you go with the original series backstory of Cyclops. But
which is the stories which is what the continuity that we're going to be dealing with in the show.
Yeah, but I hate his father. I hate that is a continuity.
I understand, but that's the continuity we have to deal with X-Men 97. However, we then go to Texas because again, cliffhangers. We go to Texas because the reason why I say cliffhangers is because we just heard earlier in the episode Bishop talking about a man who could create anything. So we go to Texas, and here's Storm, just hanging out, having a beer, and this gentleman walks in.
Forge!
I'd like to help you get back what you've lost.
He wants to get her powers back.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the excitement on her face.
There's none. She's just like, I wonder if I should trust this guy.
Look at the light in her eyes. Like there's a change.
Like,
in light
no, there's no emotion there.
Forge,
None. She's opened her eyes
Charles
more.
Xavier, I'd like to help you get back what you've lost.
There's a light.
There's no emotion. Nothing. Deadpan. Nothing. She's dead inside.
Oh goodness.
And now we get to an episode that I can hate.
We do get to a rough episode. I'm not a fan of this episode. I don't think it's a good episode. It's the fourth episode. She was like, "That's a weird pickup line."
Yeah, no emotion, just like you're creepy.
Now remember, she's also very confused because she's told nobody. So how does he know that she has no powers? Because they've only come in contact with Forge in the future. They've never met him in reality.
Again, if you know the life death storyline, you know why, because he's a dick.
He's done some things he's not proud of.
He hates he hurts he's done some things that hurts his own people, and he's a dick.
Which they do bring up in this episode.
Yep.
So we're gonna glaze over Montendo because it's a bit of a pain in the ass. Jubilee's turning 18.
I'll say this: it's fun, but it's stupid, and it doesn't need to be here. And we could have got a longer episode of Life Death.
Yeah. Jubilee gets a 16-bit system delivered to her room for her birthday. By the way, this is so cool.
And the thing is, in '97, the Super Nintendo was still it was a tail end of the games being made. I think the 64 had been out for about a year at this point, so this still makes sense that she got a 16-bit gaming system. But it looks like a Genesis.
It does.
It looks like a Sega. Actually, it looks like a Sega Master System to me. But yeah,
it was for the younger users. I agree. It was for the younger viewers. It's an interesting system, and out come the things, and they pin them down, and all of a sudden we're in the Matrix.
I thought this series was get really kinky, but no.
we go into the Matrix here. We then start revealing Jubilee's past through different video games. There's a cityscape where she's running away from the Sentinels inside the city. And then they answer a telephone that's ringing, and they go back to Genosha, where we go back to the slave episode, where we see some of the X-Men we see some of the mutants on Genosha working as slaves. And now it's a shooter because we have all of the people trying to fight her. But randomly, they all get taken out. We don't know how. We don't know why. But they're all glitching. And then we see
a figure.
Her, as they call it. Interesting character just base. We then get the instruction from Mojo, who is a lot thinner than we've seen him in the past. And that's because ratings are down. And Mojo is a different dimensional being who feeds off ratings in this world that he lives in, where he puts on television shows that put real life people in danger to go ahead and get ratings for the people who are here, and then the life force of the excitement from the people watching the TV shows feeds his soul, and that's why he's so fat and ugly. It's like Dragon Ball. Sometimes you gotta have filler episodes. I think Andre's bigger problem is the fact that this is two distinctly separate episodes. Like there's literally a black screen.
If this would have been if this would have been 30 minutes or whatever of Montendo, it would have been fine. And again, it's the back half of this episode and how they shortchange life. The first part of life death is what bothers me about this episode. Let's get through Montendo quickly because there ain't much here. Essentially, she fights her past, then they meet.
I do like some of the names of some of these things.
Who's the boss? Magneto.
Storm, different worlds.
Divorce court, Summers versus Gray.
That's not
X-Men. I just love the 90s television shows that are on there. Like those are all shows that would have been on a 90s TV station. But yes,
who's the boss? I love how they just use "Who's the boss." though.
Yeah. But yeah, she fights through different video games. She fights through a thing where Magneto is literally the X-Men video game where Magneto's the final boss, shooting things at you, and she realizes that there's a pattern, like all bosses, there's a pattern, and she uses that pattern to defeat him. And she gives the extra life to Sunspot because he'd been knocked down and killed.
Mm-hmm.
But if he gets killed here, he gets killed in reality. So the other character goes ahead and gives her the extra life. But the other character is just an older version of Jubilee.
Abscissa.
Abscissa, indeed. It's fine. I like the reveal of Abscissa. I like the fact that it shows Jubilee how she can use her powers, because there's a combination like they have where they finally fight Mojo, and the
super spinning disc or whatever.
Yeah, where it changes what Jubilee's capable of.
Oh, she's Krillin.
Yes, she's Krillin from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
You see Sunspot with his hand lit up, and then the older Jubilee works with the younger Jubilee to show her what her powers can eventually do. Mm-hmm. And I understand, yes, that's very Dragon Ball Z. But for sparkly powers that we normally see, yes, the Destructo Disc for Krillin. For what we normally see from Jubilee, it's nice to see her with some kind of different power set. That she could eventually have powers that are actually cool and interesting, as opposed to just making fun sparkly lights.
Mm-hmm.
But Jubilee wins. She goes back to reality, and the episode ends
with them making out.
With them making out on the bed. Well, she's 18 now, so she can do what she wants.
But is he 18? That's the real question.
Well, we better hope so, or else we're going to go back to court again, and it ain't going to be divorce court this time. And then we get to life death. For those that don't understand what we're talking about, we've said life death a whole bunch of times, and we haven't explained what it is. Life death is one of the X-Men's best comic series. It is widely considered one of the best X-Men comic series. It follows the story of Storm, who's lost her powers, and Forge, who helps her get those powers back. However, he gets those powers back after years and years of them being on their own, and they fall in love. And it's this amazing love story between the two of them. And then we find out the tragic news, which we find out in this episode as well, that Forge was the one who made the device that took her powers. And it's the exact same story that they're using here. They do it in a much quicker period of time, because this portion starts at the 1740 mark of the episode, and there are about 12 minutes left of the episode. However, they are very clear and distinct by saying this is part 1 of 2 for life death.
Yeah,
which I give them credit for. At least they tell us that there's more to come.
Yes, but my biggest problem is, to me, Life Death is a great story because of the story they tell. It's not the fact that she doesn't have powers. It's not that fact. It's the fact of the story of Forge and Aurora becoming friends, then falling in love, and having that wonderful story together. This made me feel like he picked her up at a bar, took her home. The next day goes, I'm in love with you, because he's an obsessive weirdo freak. Maybe they spent 2 months together. I don't know. But again, it doesn't read that way because she doesn't have the feelings for him. And she generally likes the guy. But that's my biggest issue with this, is the fact that they take the heart of the life-death story and rip it out. And because again, he more seems like an obsessive weirdo than a person who than two people that love each other and care about each other before it takes its dark turn. You know what I mean?
And my only, this is how this works, and this is by giving them the benefit of the doubt because we haven't seen everything that comes. I like the idea of how they take this with. Yes, I think the I love you was a bit early and a bit weird and a bit different. However, I like the fact that he's talking to her and he's like, look, I needed the ability to create the things I had in my mind. So I work with the government.
No, and that's not what bothers me. It's just the fact that there's no emotional depth here. There's no that connection doesn't make sense to me. Him telling her he loves her makes no sense to me here. And
I think this is the wrong. We saw the wrong portion of Life Death.
Yes, what I think they should have done was him walk up to a bar and just say, "Screw continuity." They've known each other for years. They've been friends for the longest time. And just say, "Hey, Aurora," and then she's like, "Oh my God, Forge!" And then at least I feel like the character, like back in that episode 3, at least then I feel like the characters know each other and have this connection, and then the love can come from there. And I wouldn't have been as mad at it. But you took the heart again. That my biggest problem is they took the heart out of the storyline, in my opinion. Yeah, and then she gets mad at him and goes,
"How do you not see that? Aurora, look at me.
Look, I'll say it once, just once. Then you can go or you can stay, but I love you."
You meant to make me a goddess.
You meant to make me a goddess, but you made me a fool. And she starts to storm off, and she goes running into the wilderness.
Goes storming off. You said you went storming off. She stormed off.
She did. She stormed off. She got angry and she stormed off. But however, she falls into this. She falls into this pit of despair. Gotta go, gents. Have a great pod. Thank you, Andres, for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Sorry, this one's running longer than normal, but again, we're talking about 5 episodes, and we spent a lot of time talking about what we loved about the show before we really started.
And Damian Priest.
Yeah, we did get a little bit off track with Damian Priest. But the episode ends with the cliffhanger that we see the Harbinger. The Harbinger pops its head in.
No. It's Adversary.
Oh, is that Adversary? I'm sorry. I thought it was Harbinger. Yeah. I apologize.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of replay stuff, and it is Adversary.
Yeah, you're right. I am corrected because I always think of Harbinger. I always think of Harbinger. No, I always think of Harbinger because I think Harbinger is such a great name, and I forget that the name of the demon beast is Adversary.
And
it's a great ending.
And it also lists for the voice actors that she is also voicing Adversary. In this character too, the same actress as Storm.
Yeah, she is playing both characters, and that was the end of episode 4. And it was a quick one to recap because it wasn't that great. That doesn't hold for episode 5. Episode 5 is oh boy, hold on to your britches because episode 5. Now, we just talked about an episode that with Life Death, it went too fast and it told too much of a story too quickly. Remember, it is an episode that starts going and never stops.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not arguing. I'm not mad at it either.
Nope, I love it because there's no the Remember storyline with Gambit isn't necessarily one of it's not Life Death levels. It's a good comic arc, but it's not great. It's nothing interesting. This storyline is mostly about 2 sets of things going on. Gambit, Rogue, and Magneto go to Genosha, because the UN is going to allow Genosha to become part of the UN. And back at home in Westchester, there's a TV crew doing a documentary report for the news. This may not have been the best time to do this documentary. Just saying.
And it's all and the thing is it's Beast's girlfriend from the comics is the interviewer. In the comics, this is his girlfriend, and yeah, she's the interviewer. But again, it all comes off super cheap. And they feel and when you're seeing the video of this documentary, it's shot in 4:3. So look, it makes it feel like the 90s.
It does. It's great.
It has the graininess of the 90s TV shows, and I loved it. But again, it was almost fodder in the episode. It was filler. It was filler for this episode. It really was.
A little bit. It's a little bit of filler, but it's mostly because they need to explain what we're going to see from them at the end with the characters who aren't in Genosha. So it's
100%.
part of that. The reason it's here is filler for most of the episode, but it needs to be there for the ending of the episode to make sense.
And what really works here is Scott. I think Scott is a big point of this, and him like slowly throughout the interview getting worse and worse, and just descending into literally madness by the end of the interview. And then there's a great. Can we just go over what happens outside of Genosha first? And then we get Wolverine and Jean, and her in the lake, which I was like, okay, she's in the lake, and I'm thinking, all I can think in my brain is X2, when she's and X3 in the start of X3. It's all I can think of in my head. And we get him coming out, and she's looking at her memories, trying to figure out what's hers, what's Madeline's, but she doesn't know because she can't differentiate it. Right? Again, all I can say is, Jean's memories are ponytail. Madeline's memories are not ponytail. Simple as that. That's how you figure it out. But and then she kisses Wolverine because she's confused.
Big old kiss.
And I love the fact, because this is going forward, and I think I love that they're going to try to tell this story going forward, because with Scott, he's in such a weird place, and then it shows him essentially mind cheating on Jean with Madeline. It's weird. That one's weird. That was a weird one to me.
So Jean kisses Wolverine. Wolverine pushes her away and says, "Look, no, go to Scott. You got to go to the Boy Scout. Go see the Boy Scout. Deal with the Boy Scout." Because he wants her, but he wants her to want him for him, and not because she's in a weird place with Scott. So she goes to Scott, and they're having a talk, and they're having a conversation, and they're getting close to getting intimate. And she sees into his mind, and she sees that in the past he's been communicating telepathically with Madeline Pryor. Not necessarily romantically, but telepathically talking to Madeline Pryor. And she is pissed.
Mm-hmm.
As she should be, because this is a special bond and connection that they had. The conversations that they would have in their mind is a special thing between the two of them. And it leads to them
has it with two people. He has it with two people now. So,
and it leads to him being like, "But do you know if you love me? Do you know if you love me? Like, do you feel that you love me, or do you remember that you love me? Which is it?" And I think it's a very interesting. It's a bold play for him, Cotton. It's a bold strategy to try to go ahead and pretend like he has the moral high ground here.
Did you just do dodgeball?
I did do dodgeball.
I applaud that, sir. That was a great pull.
I mean, it's a bold strategy for him to try to think that he has the moral high ground in the situation.
I also understand it from his point of view, because like, is she trying to remember that again? I understand what he means by that, but again, it's a kind of a really bit of a dick move.
Yeah. And they have a fight, which leads to him having a fight with her and yelling at her in front of the TV crew while Beast is doing an interview. Isn't a good idea. He then at one point goes ahead and just goes all the way off the rails when he's doing his portion of the interview and saying that they only have to protect people because people are people and people suck.
Yep. Again, he's just going insane, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and he storms off, and she's just like, all right, I guess this is over.
Yeah, and that's kind of the end, really, of the mansion stuff. I don't really think there was much more to that. Again, a majority
nothing that we have to talk about.
No, the majority of the episode is Genosha.
And Genosha looks fantastic. Genosha is the paradise wonderland that they claimed it would be in the beginning. The prices are a bit high, which Gambit sees as a problem.
$10 for an apple.
Yeah, it's a bit much, but they're starting their own economy, and it's tough. You got to get that economy going. Magneto is looked at as a hero. People are using their powers in the open because everybody here is a mutant. We see Multiple Man dancing, and he goes ahead and creates multiple copies of himself. We see Dazzler, who we'll see in Deadpool Wolverine. We're expected to see Dazzler in Deadpool and Wolverine, most likely played by Ashwood's favorite, Taylor Swift.
No. No. Please, God, no.
Yeah. Who else is going to play Dazzler? Why would it not be Taylor Swift?
Anybody else? Like, any other person with a singing voice can play her.
She is friends with Blake Lively. She is friends with Ryan Reynolds. She borrowed Ryan Reynolds' personal Deadpool suit for a Halloween. Taylor Swift is going to be in this movie. She's either going to be Lady Deadpool or she's going to be Dazzler. And I assume she's going to be Dazzler because I assume Lady Deadpool is going to be Blake Lively. But this isn't about X-Men. This isn't about Deadpool just yet. It's about the X-Men. So we get to see that the Hellfire Club are the ones who are running the political world of Genosha right now. But they need a figurehead, somebody they can put out there for the UN to see as their leader. And they've decided that Magneto is the best option for that. And Magneto says, I'll do it, but on one condition. He wants Rogue to be his queen. That's a toughie subject.
Yeah. It's a little bit, hey, you're gonna marry me. Simple as that. You're marrying me. It's kind of a shitty move. But
also, speaking of Madeline Pryor, we just talked great about Madeline Pryor. She's here. She's here in Genosha.
What's
Moira McTaggart.
Moira. Yeah, I always remember the actress Rose Byrne because she played her in First Class, and I think in the second she played her in the reboot series. She did a great job. But and then there's Banshee, her boyfriend. There's Emma Frost, and then
Havoc. Havoc is there as well as Sebastian Shaw.
Sebastian Shaw. I didn't see Havoc.
Havoc's the one in green next to Moira McTaggart.
No, that's Banshee.
Are you sure?
That is her boyfriend, Banshee.
According to both Emergency Awesome and Heavy Spoilers, that would be.
I listened to Emergency Awesome. They called him Banshee, and so did Screen Crush. That's Banshee. Banshee's whole gear is green, dude. That's Banshee.
Okay.
That's Moira's boyfriend.
I know one of the two things I watched claimed him as Havoc, but okay.
I know
I can be wrong. I can be wrong.
Yeah, I could be wrong too. Again, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty.
When we get to the credits, I'll go ahead and watch that. But I have the episode up. So yeah, we get to the portion where her and Remy LeBeau have to have a conversation. Rogue and Remy need to have a conversation about her past with Magneto. Because she tells him, look, I can be with Magneto. I can touch Magneto. I can't touch you as much as I care for you and I love you. It can't be any more than that because I can't get the feeling that you get, and I can't risk hurting you. And he explains that it doesn't matter, that it can be as deep as it needs to be because he adores her and he loves her.
Yeah, it's Banshee.
And okay, I was incorrect.
I looked it on IMDb. They don't list Havoc. They list Banshee. Yeah.
All right, that's fine. I was wrong. Not at the end of the world.
Screen Crush for the win.
I'll have to talk to. I'll have to send a bad, an angrily worded tweet to Paul over at Heavy Spoilers then, because I know he said it was Havoc. Anyways, moving on, we do get the backstory for Magneto and Rogue in this universe. Because, like you said, Andre gave a couple of different examples of different comic book storylines in which they were together. And in this one, her mother trying to get a grasp on her powers has no way to do it. Her mother, who would have been a form of Mystique.
I thought this was Agatha.
No, it's not Agatha Harkness. Agatha Harkness.
She's raised by Agatha, though.
Is she?
Mystique's her mother, but she's raised by Agatha.
Okay. She just has her mother, and her mother's blonde.
Well, and again, it shows her in the Savage Lands, which takes away mutant powers, or alters mutant powers. So you'd think if it was Mystique, she would have de-transformed. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's
well,
Agatha.
no, she was
I'm not
adopted.
sure.
She was adopted in the original series. She mentions that she was adopted, but her mother is Mystique. In all of this, her mother is Mystique, but it's not the woman who raised her.
This woman, I'm pretty sure it's Agatha Harkness who raises, because I think in the original series they spoke that it's Agatha.
Okay,
I think
because I know that
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
I know Agatha raises the twins, but I don't remember her raising Rogue as well.
She did. Again, there's different versions. Again, a lot of them are different versions, right? So again, I could be wrong. I know there's a version where Agatha raises Rogue. So
yeah, but Magneto in the beginning just wants to teach her how to use her powers and how to go ahead and do that, and many days in the library reading books and books. He goes ahead and paints her like one of his French girls, as she's. And I say that because we get this scene in the show where he's magnetically painting her like one of his French girls. I don't get props for that one, huh?
It was good, but it wasn't as good as Dodgeball. I'm sorry.
But this is the moment where they both think that there could be more. And this is where we find out about the ability to use his magnetic field to be able to allow her to touch him, because the magnetism makes it so that they can touch each other. However, and while she's falling for him, she realizes that it's not just her pain that he's taking on. He has his own pain, his own fears, his own demons that he's fighting.
Mm-hmm.
All this story, Gambit's throwing playing cards into the fire. And as she's trying to explain to him that it's nothing, it will never be anything more than that, he takes the Queen of Hearts and he throws it in the fire, and it slowly burns. As he tells them that him and her will now just be friends.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sad.
Sad.
We then get to the Hellfire Gala, where everybody's looking their best. Magneto looks absolutely fantastic. Madeline Pryor looking good. Goes ahead and starts talking to Gambit as he's at the bar, because where else would you be after you got a broken heart? The UN comes in, and the UN lady says, her voice, I don't know if it's the same person, but it reminds me of the lady who played Mimi on Drew Carey.
That's pretty funny.
The lady who does the UN reminds me of the voice of the lady who played Mimi on Drew Carey. And she goes that, why did you think we'd accept Magneto as your leader? We can't have a terrorist in the UN. And Sebastian Shaw and Magneto look at each other and they laugh. And they're like, well, first, how come so many of the people in the UN are terrorists? Just chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Such a great political satire. But then Sebastian Shaw lays it out that, Magneto only accepted on the basis that he have an X-Men run this beside him. That he has to have an X-Men here because he needs to have that foil to make sure that he doesn't do anything too crazy. And him and Rogue go off into the sky and they start dancing. And I forget what reviewer I was talking to, talked about how it sounds like Enya. And we'll play a little bit.
Oh. It's literally a song.
But
I know I think Emergency Austin talked about what song it actually was.
Yeah. It's fine. It's a wonderful 90s poppy type song.
Mm-hmm.
With, it's an electronic dance beat. And then they kiss. And Gambit has seen enough. Everybody else is like, ooh, ah. And Gambit's like, fuck this, I'm done, and walks away. And then Madeline gets a psychic blast to the face.
Oh, and Jean got one too
earlier
when she was fighting with Cyclops. Yeah.
Yeah, when she was fighting with Scott. And she starts bleeding from the nose, and she hears the words, stop the music.
Yeah.
So she goes wandering off to get some space. And Rogue realizes that this is a bad idea. And she can't do it. She cannot be the queen for Magneto. and she starts to run off, and then we see blasts in the distance of green light, and a character pops out of the distance as the fireworks are going off. Cable's here!
Cable!
How cool is it that Cable's here?
Mm-hmm.
And he's yelling, "Stop the music, stop the music." He's the voice that she heard. It was calling him to her. And she knows him instantly. She knows who he is. She knows Cable instantly. And they're talking. And he's about to slide again, going back into the past. And she looks into his eyes. And she sees her child's eyes. And she says the words, "You survived." And as he's being yanked away back to the future, he says the last words, "I'm so sorry, Mom."
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it's Nathan Summers.
It's so great. I love the fact that she now knows that he's okay, that everything that they did was right. And now she can put two and two together that Cable is Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wonderful. That's great.
They've met Cable before, haven't they?
They have. They've met Cable in the original series. But he did not lead on that he knew about his parental lineage. Mm-hmm. Now they're saying he absolutely knows who his parents are because he addresses her as he's getting pulled away as Mom. Mm-hmm. So he knows that Madeline Pryor is his mother. Mm. So that's good to know. We then see this amazing fight sequence between this 3-headed master mold.
And like I watched Emergency Awesome, I watched Screen Crush, and they were like comparing this to a Godzilla Mothra.
Yeah.
Like yes, and that's what it is. It looks like a giant like kaiju monster, and it's just and it's wrecking everybody. Yep. Like it almost kills Kurt. It's just other people are like dead, and it's just like Magneto goes insane. He's using a train as like a giant magnet whip, and he's just smacking the crap out of the this mega master mold, and it's just awesome.
So good. Yeah. So good.
Oh,
Remy starts fighting it.
Well, so like what it is like he's fighting it so Remy and Rogue can get to the Morlocks to get them out, and he does get them Gambit comes blasting through with his staff, just looking like a badass, taking down a Sentinel. Yeah. And he gets to Leech and the rest of the Morlocks. But this is where the Mega Master Mold, whatever you want to call it, Kaiju Mold, whatever you want to call it. And it gets in like Magneto's protecting all the Morlocks with his electromagnetism, blocking this giant green laser, and then it just explodes, and it's like what did it say? Right.
Omega neutralized.
Again, neutralized, not destroyed. Neutralized is the key word.
And Magneto, in the last bit of his abilities, while trying to defend himself from the blast, uses his other hand to go ahead and that's not fun. That's not fun. You are not being brought up on screen. And hold on, I have to do a quick thing on the YouTube side. That and I can't mod. Why can I not mod this? Go ahead and talk about what's going on while I try to figure out how to get rid of this comment on the YouTube side.
Well, that's on the Twitch side, bud.
Yeah, I got rid of it.
I mean,
anyway,
Zwapple is on the Twitch, dude.
Yeah, I got rid of it. It's fine. I don't have access.
Oh yeah, but yeah, no, but it's so much. So Rogue sees this happen. She flips out, and she powers up. Just goes like superhero flying at this master giant kaiju thing, and Remy gets on his bike and powers up the bike with his power and throws it at Rogue, knocking her out of the way of this destruction blast. And then he goes like full Gambit, starts running, powers of his staff, smacks in the ground, sending it flying up in the air to go, and he's coming in to destroy the Master Mold and stabbed in the side, and you're like, no, my heart dropped. Like I was like, oh my god. I'm like, no, not Gambit, no. And I'm just like, I'm ready to break at this point, and then
Mutant intruder neutralized.
The name's Gambit, mon ami.
How cool is this power up? We're going to stop it and talk because we have to, because otherwise Marvel is going to get mad at us. But this is such a cool power up where he uses the fact that it's inside of his body stabbing him to death to go ahead and do the sacrifice play. We talked about this last week with Iron Man, the sacrifice play. He goes ahead and takes the sacrifice play to destroy this thing by powering the whole thing up to make it explode.
Remember it.
Whew. And the dust settles, and we see scenes of the X-Men sitting at the mansion, getting a news report, showing them what happened in Genoa and Genosha. And we get scenes as like I said, I'm just gonna play a couple of scenes. We see all the mutants. This, I believe, is Pixie.
Yep. Pixie. I think.
Pixie, I believe. Yeah. And then we get Nightcrawler, and then 2 mutants that I don't know. But I believe they're part of the new mutants.
I got the name of that weird one, but I can't remember the name now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I heard it too, but I don't remember what it is. And then Rogue is just sobbing, touching Gambit. She's holding him in her arms. And this is how this ends.
Sugar. I can't feel you.
And then we get the credits. That's it. How dare you? Marvel,
Yeah.
How dare you?
And then and next week you're going back to Life Death, so this is going to hang for a couple weeks.
Another week? Yeah, it's going to hang for at least 2 weeks. Oh, Marvel, you sick, sadistic bastards. I love it. I hate it. I love it. I hate it.
It broke my heart, man.
It does.
She's the entire episode. She's talking about how she can't feel him. She can't feel, and then at the end, she's literally holding him with no gloves on, and she says, "I can't feel you," and it's just,
to the core, right to the fucking core, man. What are your overall thoughts? As we're now an hour and 55 minutes in, we have to get out of here. Overall thoughts on X-Men 97?
I can't again. I shit on the 4th episode, but again, still told both told great stories. I just I have my issues with them cheating Life Death the way they did, but again, they've told wonderful stories throughout, and I think going forward, you're going to have such a great last few episodes of this series of this first season. And it has me so excited. I cannot wait for next week. I cannot wait for 2 weeks from now to get the follow from the 5th episode. Like, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to watch more of these. And again, it's yes, more of this, please. More of this. Yeah. It's like honestly, I would love to see more Marvel animation. Like, give us more of these series. Bring back Spider-Man 90. Give us Spider-Man 98. Give us, bring that series back. I love that series. And you can completely ignore that whichever one the Space Spider-Man one. Completely ignore that because that was terrible.
Also, one of the things we forgot to mention, we can see the outline of the Watcher as the Battle of Genosha starts. You can see the outline of the Watcher watching over.
So how does Watcher intervene in all this? That's my question.
I don't know, but I think this is fantastic. This has done such a great justice to the original 97 cartoon series. It's doing fantastic things that make sense in 2024 while hearkening back to the same feelings of watching something when we watched as a kid.
100%.
It's not made for children.
No.
It's not made to be watched by the children. It's made to be watched by the people who were children when the show aired, who are now adults our age. And they've done fantastically on it. The voice cast is amazing. The artistry of making all of these characters is amazing. But with that, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back in a few weeks with another episode of MCU Rebound, whether it be next week or the week after. We and Andre will discuss, and we'll let you guys know on social media. However, that next episode of MCU Rebound will definitely be Iron Man 3.
Well, and I think what did we agree on? That when episode 10 comes out, we're going to come back with the final 5 episodes. It'll be on May 15th. We'll be coming back for another episode to do this. Talk the last 5 episodes.
Andre, tell the good people where they can find you.
X, you can find me at That Canada Guy, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at That Canada Dude. Facebook, Andre and Melba Wrestling Talk. On YouTube, youtube.com/at Andre and Melba Wrestling Talk, where you can find me and my co-host Mel doing New Japan, or the NJPW Poodle Wrestler review, Stardom review, and Chop Talk, where you can also, and if you want to go to SundayNightSpainEvent.com or Patreon.com/WrestlingMeRadio, you can find our shows in audio form. Yeah, right there. And so if you want to support a Patreon, $4 a month. Then you can find me every Friday here doing the Japanese Wrestling Update. This week will be another afternoon edition of the show, as we will be watching the Windy City Riot show that night.
Yeah. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at EdFries12584. You can find me on the Twitch, twitch.tv/EdFries2002. You can find me next Tuesday doing Taking Over with the lovely, the natural Ash Bizarro, as I am finally done with shows. It has been a long WrestleMania week for me. I have done 9 shows in the last 8 days. I've had enough. I need to give my voice a break. I need to take some time off. So either Monday or Tuesday, you can see me back again if we decide to do another edition of Talking Takeover. However, Andre, during AEW, something was announced, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it because I saw it in the Discord. On Collision on April 13th, Timeless Toni Storm will be having a Women's World Championship Eliminator match with AZM. I know it's not how...
Azumi. Take away the U, take away the I. It's Azumi.
Okay.
Yep.
What do you think? What are your thoughts instantly on that as an instant reaction?
I'm looking forward to it. Again, that match will be killer. Because, again, like Azumi, me and Amina appeared on AEW tonight and made out with Mariah May for some reason, but I'm still wrapping my head around that. But Azumi versus Toni Storm, I think, is going to be an absolutely stellar match. Those two are going to tear it on down. And I'll be tuning into. I don't usually watch Collision live, but I'll probably watch it live to watch Azumi versus
Timeless Toni
Storm.
But for Andre C, I am Ol'Ed and Fries, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.